How much have you thought about anything we wanted to chat about today?
I honestly don't even remember at this point right now. I don't even remember what we were going to talk about today.
Yeah, we didn't quite get into it too much.
Mm-hmm.
We made the list that we had last time, but I don't know if we ever were from our last meeting, this is what we want to talk about
next. Yeah.
The only thing I think I added additional emphasis on, and then just bring up as a subject, and then we can explore, is Valentine's Day, and
what is that like for men's health or what?
Yeah, and I feel like it's been I've had two different there's different modes. Obviously, if you're dating someone and you're in a relationship, it's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you're single and then you get you see all those hearts and
mm-hmm.
romance everywhere.
How depressing that is.
It can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as I was reflecting on that too, also from when we're so young,
we're conditioned to it.
Yeah.
We are socially conditioned
to be
Valentine's Day.
To be coupling, yes.
We need to be with somebody. We need this to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm cursing.
I think we can curse if we want to.
Okay.
We can curse if we want to.
Okay. Oh shoot! Now I remember. Don't forget. I don't remember where I was going with this. Yeah. No. It's definitely a social conditioning. I mean, heck, ever since I've known you. Well, let's see here. How long have we known each other now at this point? Was it 7 or 8 years now? Because I think we did the math last time when we saw each other.
I graduated in 2015. And that spring, and then I moved back home.
And then you went to...
And then I started going to Enchanted Grounds to find friends back in this area.
Yeah. So 2015. So that's 8 years now at this point. Coming up on 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would that be? Summer. It'll be 8 years.
Yeah.
So it was right before that. I want to say right before that. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I got dumped because she left me for somebody else. So I've been single now, technically, without a serious long-term relationship. It has been 8 years. My longest relationships at this point have been maybe average 3 months at the longest. I'm going to say maybe, let me rephrase that. My average relationship is maybe 2 months, and that's about it. And so being single for this amount of time, and I mean, you find out who you really are at that point just because you've been single for so long. But during that entire time, that's 8 Valentines I haven't been with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, at first it's just super depressing because coming out of that relationship, you want someone to be with on that day because society just with their ads, with mainly just ads. Hell, it's ads everywhere. Social media, over the radio, over different podcasts.
I was thinking about this too. Children's movies and just movies in general.
Yes.
And on top of that,
TV shows.
And often they make it look so easy.
They do.
It's within a 90-minute movie, not only have they overcome all their struggles and beat the bad guy, but they also have a long-term romance that looks like it's going to be just
it's going to last for fucking ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I blame a lot of that towards our generation with growing up with Disney movies. They focused on ending up with Prince Charming, the princess, and it just lasts forever.
Yeah.
And there are so many people that their thinking process is geared for that because, it's a Disney movie. This is a perfect world. That's how it's going to be. No, this is real life. That's not how it is at all.
Well, it gets cemented as like this like easy thing. I put these on there because you're not supposed to like have.
That's why I'm not taking off this. I have my work logo on here, on my shirt underneath. And I look like a freaking mess because I've been working all day on shit.
Yeah, that's a maybe we should do like a proper hello and intro, and we can be like, we had to reschedule because I had plans come up, but we are creating a podcast together.
MHANCast.
MHANCast.
MHANCast. MHAN.
Do you remember what it stands for?
No. Mental health and I don't remember the
close.
No, mental health. What's the A?
Your M's off. Managing health. What's the A stand for? Authenticity. Authenticity and nuances. Yeah.
Nuance. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're starting this podcast. We've brainstormed a little bit. We know that like men's mental health issues, loneliness, like relationships, these are all subjects that there's a lot that goes into them. And going back to what we were just talking about, like growing up, we're sold this like story fairy tale version, this simplified, easy way to go about it. But it's really a lot more that goes into like making it work successfully and taking care of yourself successfully.
Yeah, I mean that's and unfortunately it is not easy. I mean, this is a subject that has been swept under the rug for so long just because of society's image on just men in general.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is, I mean, knowing you for almost 8 years now, I've just recently really dove into it deeply into it the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, I dug deep into it last year, and that's, I think, what sparked mine and your conversation of actually starting this, because I was bringing up different audiobooks, different podcasts I was listening to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely, I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone's mental health is super important, and it's been frowned upon for so long. But women's mental health has been put at the forefront just because of, I'm just going to put it this way, and I'm probably going to have to change it more as we get further on into these discussions. But it's because of women's place in society, how they are put at the forefront of priority. I mean, heck, look at what, I know you probably have a different opinion on that, which is great. But I am me personally, I am not stuck in this is how it has to be. I need to see your side of things. I want the logical perspective that everyone brings in an open discussion.
Yeah.
Is it going to bring a lot of high tensions emotionally? Yes. But that's when the deepest restructuring and the deepest learning happens, is when those tough conversations happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't just run from those. You have to embrace it. I mean, yeah.
It makes me ponder how we like got here, and like societally, because it's not like we were like putting ourselves as little babies, being like, actually creating any of this that we grew up into. But yeah, I think on the men's side, there's just been so much stigma, and culturally, we do send different messages depending on your like gender.
Yeah.
And we tell men more, pick yourselves up, that one of the biggest things you should pride yourself on is like your strength and ability to handle things yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that for most of our like other male relationships, that it's more fine for it to be competitive in nature rather than like open,
emotionally vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like on the women's side of things,
they are geared to be emotionally vulnerable with their women relationships.
and to open themselves up, be there, and create more tight bonds, to go to those depths of like knowing how each other are actually doing.
Yeah. I mean,
and then I think that plus the stigma has, they've gotten a head start of it being socially acceptable to either be jump into these things or not. And I'm like circling back to like why as a society have like the data's been out there for a while that men are struggling more, and that different groups from like young males and lonely people who like have a hard at like growing up at home balance, to like veterans that they get back and then often are left to like try to like figure out after those like situations they've been through, and is one like the biggest group that deals with mental health issues.
Yeah, and I have a few things to say. Just keep going. Go ahead.
So it's I think that was a big motivation for us both, is bringing up these topics to dive into them, explore them, hear other people's perspectives and what they see, because I think both of us in our lives have seen this affect people near to us, on top of like some of the things that is happening at a societal level where like we know that it's hard for people out there right now.
Yeah. Oh God, I wish I was gonna be there with you to watch this.
What does it say? Battery exhausted. You and me both.